You'll never get wealthy where it takes a constant, I've got to do this to get that check.
So, though, in this moment, there's a satisfaction with the turn, there's a satisfaction with the flip.
Yep.
The day we started partnering on deals with people, right, was a day that I think the game began to tremendous like change for our business. And it became, I no longer accepted, and this is why you did the guaranteed income. I
Yep.
guarantee it. And is I no longer accepted failure from my students who paid me money. Like I just wouldn't accept people who pay me, more than, like, it's one thing to go buy a course for $100 and you go and make a choice about whether you go and do something or not. But people who pay 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 for
Yeah.
mentorship and education, not to make money, is just completely unacceptable, right?
Yep.
And you shouldn't even have a program for, in my opinion, that charges people that kind of money unless they're going to make money. And I don't
Yep.
mean like going to make money, like maybe possibly 5% or 10% a year, even 20% to me is not acceptable, right? So for us,
Yep.
like with our inner circle, like 100%, right? Like you're going to make money,
Mhm.
and if you don't, then we're gonna refund your money, and I'm gonna pat you on your butt and go away. And I think we've
Send you on your way.
and that's about 1 out of 100 for us, right? So for you,
Yep.
like guaranteed income, I love it because I know you took it to a different level of like what's acceptable numbers wise, and acceptable
I,
failure, acceptable, So go ahead.
well, on our cash on cash ROI, 40% is our minimum yearly. And so when we're talking to clients on the front end, they're like, well, you can't do that, can you? I'm like, that's our floor. That's not our ceiling. That's not a goal we hope to hit and establish. That's our minimum. If it's not hitting 40, we pass on it. And like, well, you can't. And like, yeah, we can because we know what we're doing. And we've got a ton of property that we can show you that, not hypothetical deals, properties that are in the portfolio. Here's the numbers on them. You do the math and tell me what the return is. And their eyes get big when they start doing that.
Well,
It's
it's one
like,
of the reasons we became a REIT was to say, hey,
yeah,
look, like we're gonna have audited financials, we're gonna be SEC qualified, we're gonna have, the fact checker stick that thumb where it doesn't belong and know whether or not it's real or not. And so for me, like 40% sounds completely reasonable, because if you back that out
yeah,
from a cost standpoint, right, after you make the 40% return, right, we made 36.7 last year. That
mhm,
was 2020, and then the last 12 months, I think we're at like 35% for the last 12
yep,
months. And so I can definitely see, 40%, in an individual deal. If you can't make 40%, you're just not doing it right.
yeah, yeah. And that's all it is we get inside their head and we take out the bad stuff that keeps the blinders on them and say, open up for the possibility of, first of all, would you admit that you don't know everything about real estate? They're like, yeah, well, neither do I. But you know what? I know enough to be able to bring in these kind of returns. And so, we sit down and it's funny because you'll see them when they start and they're getting 40%. They're just like, oh my gosh, I never believed this world could exist. And 4 months later, they're like, look, this is 68%, but I think that the next one's going to be better. It's like, wow, you got greedy in a hurry. I like that.
Yeah,
So
or
they,
like it's fascinating because like when we first started our inner circle, it was me, right? I was the only one really, like, truly doing fulfillment, and so we would do a joint venture and we would do a deal, and if they needed an update, I'd get a text and I'd shoot them back an update on it, right? And now, like, you look at, like, we use like Appfolio, if you've heard of it, but it's a project management, real estate property management software, so they have access to a portal where they can go in and they can look at their deals, and they get a monthly email
excellent.
update from one of our team and like different things. So then when I hear someone like complain about communication, I'm like, do you have any idea what it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? Compared to the service you're getting today, or like the returns. Like, so when I first started doing tax liens and deeds, it was a year before you could clear title. It's just,
Yeah.
that's pretty common in that industry. And so most of the deals I did, 7 years ago with my investors, it was like, hey, look, this is a year-long deal. Granted, we bought it at 30 cents, right, or 40 cents on the dollar, but this is a year before we're going to be cleared to either, really leverage or different things. And now, owning a title company and just different things that become a part of the game to make that, reality very different. And so now the other day, like someone was complaining that they were like in month 4 of a fix, right? And they're complaining about the amount of time that it's taking, and I'm like, just take a deep breath through that one and reset expectations and reset boundaries so that they can have a clear visual and understanding. Like if you're doing rehabs less than 6 months, then you're doing phenomenal, right? In today's world of permits, and I mean, even Fort Worth, it's a big city, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in Fort Worth, even though Texas has no laws, and you're just all country bumpkins, but at the same time, no, there's a lot of permitting in Texas, and I mean, Fort Worth is as sophisticated a city as anywhere in the world. So it's pretty cool. You have to go through those journeys.
Yeah, and we get tickled because you and I've seen, we've dealt with so many people that have been out there, and they've gotten involved in what I refer to as the TV programs, meaning they got involved in real estate from watching somebody on TV, and guys that and some of them are dear friends of mine and guys that I love and respect greatly. But we differ dramatically in the fact that they teach a lot of this get rich quick, and you can make $100,000 in the next 30 days with our program, and and
let's talk about wealth. What is wealth, right? So for me, wealth equals freedom to me. The more freedom you can buy in life, right? For me is as wealth is achieved, right? For me, the flipping of the house, the turning of a deal shortly, right, never created freedom. It created income for me,
right?
And so, though in this moment there's a satisfaction with the turn, there's a satisfaction with the flip, but that's not wealth. And so as we began to stack assets, hold on to assets, I started to understand like the wealth game. And granted, if you're looking at what I have to get accomplished in the next 6 months, yeah, you probably need to flip, but if you're looking at what you're going to accomplish in the next 10 years of your life, in my opinion, you have to hold and you have to stack.
Absolutely.
What's your voice on it?
Well, when I teach clients, and this is how we build our own personal portfolio, is that, look, we're talking about 2 words here. We're talking about rich and wealth. And to get to wealth, you have to go through rich. Mm-hmm. Rich is a fat paycheck. Rich is flipping. Rich is wholesaling, where you get big money, fine. But wealth is passive income. Wealth is, you'll never get wealthy you can't do enough flips to get wealthy. You'll never get wealthy where it takes a constant, I've got to do this to get that check. You get wealthy by, okay, I did that to get that check. Now I've put that money into this vehicle, and this vehicle is spitting out income to me, whether I ever do anything else or not. And that's passive income. And that's what our guaranteed income program is about. That's what, when you look at multifamily, when you look at rental property, when you look at office buildings, that's what that's about, is building an asset base that is always putting out income. I only have to spend a certain amount of time and a certain amount of money on the front end, and then I get this income coming in on a monthly and a yearly basis from now on. And as I go through the year, I'm going to have a small amount of time that I'll have to go just make sure everything's okay.